Hello, welcome to this video where I'm going to show you some battles from Palasha, one of the best battles in the world, and her signature Pokemon, Magnezone. This is the team she's running. Shadow Magnezone, Shadow Gligar, and Jellicent. In Open Grey League, this team also works, but then she uses Cresselia instead of Jellicent. Both Magnezone and Gligar could work as non-Shadow as well if you don't have them, but Shadow definitely has more firepower, although some bulk on Gligar often is nice. In the first game, we have Shadow Magnezone into Goodra. This is a weird matchup. Wild Charge obviously does a lot, but Dragon Breaths will add up, and Aqua Tail is neutral. You'll find often if you play Magnezone against Goodra that some opponents try to get Charge Purity on Magnezone and throw immediately. Paula does not. She goes for 2 Wild Charge, and at this point it cannot be Charge Purity for that first one. And then go for this. Let's see, now going for the Mirror Shot. I believe this is Charge Purity. See if the opponent wants to go for Switch Advantage or not. And they do let that go. Interesting play. It comes in comes Gligar. Paula preserves her Magnezone immediately, swapping out. Kind of comes down to what is in the back here. The opponent's a little bit weak to ice at this point. Obviously, there's no Alolan Sandslash, but I would not be surprised if there's something like a Poliwrath in the back. Go for Area Ace. This won't threaten Gligar as much yet, but the opponent might want to preserve it a little bit. And this is just perfect, because the opponent already almost is in serve range anyway. So Paula's letting this go. Probably gonna bring in the Jellicent now. You gotta wait out the clock, I would assume. Otherwise, the opponent might lock you in with like a Mandibuzz if that is in the back. Let's see. In the back is a Registeel. This actually is not that bad. She's going for the serve, and that is to stall the clock, because the clock is not up yet, and now she can switch out into the Magnezone. Magnezone has actually a pretty decent matchup here. I know, as I brought this in Liu last season, and I played against Weedle. It's Registeel. If you have a little bit of an attack-weighted Magnezone, and the opponent does get a Zap Cannon debuff, you actually can land a Wild Charge farm down into one shield. You can see this does so much damage, and that's even debuffed. She's thrown a Mirror Shot, probably realizing the opponent might get to another attack there, so wants to preserve the Magnezone a little bit, can still put in some work into that Gligar as well. A Wild Charge will basically almost knock out, so I think that Wild Charge might knock out from this range. Let's see. The opponent probably... Do they shield this? They don't. It doesn't knock out just yet, but I think a couple of hacks will do the job here. And Jellicent's quite bulky, so it can hang on some attacks. Well played. Game number 2, we have Magnezone into Galarian Weezing. Not a pick you see as much, but Fairy-type Pokemon are not that bad currently, because there's a lot of like Dragonite plus Fighter course. Magnezone does hang quite well in here though. Volt Switch add up, you have super effective Mirror Shot, which is still a weak attack. Yeah, she kind of has to respect the overheat there. Magnezone is Palasha's precious, so you can't let that go. Shielding the first Mirror Shot, this has to be like really weak to Magnezone in the back, perhaps like a Mandibuzz. Let's see, going for the overheat now. This will debuff the Weezing and not swapping out just yet. She has 2 Mirror Shot now. The opponent probably will let this go, because there's no point in shielding this now, right? Yeah, there's no point. See what comes in. Maybe a Gligar or something. There's always Gligar in the back. In the back is Poliwrath. She goes into her own Gligar immediately. It is regular Poliwrath, so you can hang on to an Icy Wind or Scald here as Gligar. Scald actually does more damage, but is not as efficient as Icy Wind. If you only get to 1 charge stack, you might want to go for Scald here. See what the opponent's going to do. Going for charge stack, pretty very well played. I think this might barely knock out. Go for Icy Wind. Yeah, it does knock out. But shields are down. There's a lot of energy on that Magnezone still, and Jellicent is very fine here, right? It's dominates this matchup. In the back is a Poliwrath, a Gligar. Gligar Poliwrath core is very good, but not into Jellicent. Jellicent is like the main answer to this core. Even though Jellicent is also so into Gligar when shields are up, it can make that matchup really annoying, because Hex damage doesn't add up. And yeah, going for the serve now. She has a Water, so she wins. But a serve also doesn't take it out in one attack, right? And the other attack water attack you have is Bubble Beam, so it doesn't add up either. Let's see, this Poliwrath has to throw energy. I don't think it matters though. I believe Magnezone is at or is 1 Volt Switch off the Wild Charge, going for the Icy Wind, and she has a Wild Charge already. This is going to zap this Poliwrath. It will take out an entire family. This Poliwrath is definitely gone. Goodbye. Shadow Magnezone into Shadow Gligar. This is not that bad of a matchup. This is actually the one ground type Magnezone can probably beat. You do beat this in the 2 shields if Gligar doesn't bait twice, because if Gligar baits twice, it will outpace to the last attack. To the dig. Let's see. And most Gligar do bait here. You could try to be a madman and no-shoot that, but if they don't bait, your Magnezone's gone, so you kind of don't want that. The way Paula plays this is going to do Wild Charge, then going for, throw both of them. You stay into this matchup, she swaps out now. Interesting. Preserving that Magnezone might be annoying for the opponents, but let's see. Usually Gligar's paired with like Mantine, so I'm surprised they're staying in so far. They're throwing all their energy even. which might indicate there could be something like a fighter in the back. This area Ace was almost going to knock out. Going into Carbink to take this super effective attack, I guess. Yeah, that's a play. So the opponent's kind of weak to Jellicent already. Let's see. You're going with the Magnezone here. This is a perfect opportunity to farm up energy. Because Carbink has such high defense. Rock Throw won't even do that much on Magnezone. So Mirror Shot's double super effective on Rock. It's super effective on Rock, super effective on Fairy. So it's just a perfect matchup here. It was going to undercharge, but not now. And then going for a Wild Charge. I think this might knock out the Gligar. Does knock out, and in the back is she's waiting just in case it might be like a poison type in the back. I've been in a situation. No, the opponent triple disrespects Jellicent and well is met by 1 in the end. Magnezone into Shadow Dragonite Lead. This is not that great of a matchup as you think, because those Dragon Breaths, look at them, they're chunking. Volt Switch neutral, Dragon Breath's resisted, but it adds up so much. This won't knock out yet, but most Dragonite do respect it regardless. You should win the ones here straight Mirror Shot because you outpace barely to your second attack here. Mirror Shot's only 35 energy, so charge pretty quick. Going for another Volt Switch. Wow, that's interesting. Probably expecting the opponent to maybe catch. The opponent does let that go. Going to get an energy advantage. Oh my goodness, oh, she doesn't get... This is dangerous. This is really dangerous. Because both your Pokemon cannot take energy from a Jellicent with energy advantage. This might also indicate there might be something else weak to this Pokemon in the... to Magnezone in the back. So maybe something like an Empoleon. Empoleon is usually paired with... with Dragonite, so let's see. That could be a big problem for Paula. You need to get that last shield, and the opponent does give it. Going into Gligar. This is still not that bad, though. A serve doesn't do that much. If Paula's expecting Empoleon in the back, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You just have to keep a shield your shield. Let's see. Going for Charge Attack Priority, very bold. That was a pretty easy catch for the opponent, to be honest. Does this knock out? You kind of need it to. It does knock out. In the back it's Registeel. It was a Steel type, and this is the Steel type that has no fast attack pressure. So that's great for Paula. At this point, you kind of wish you shield the serve, though, just to make it safer. But it shouldn't matter. Gligar will outpace 2 attacks. Going for the next dig here. The opponent doesn't even throw. Could have as well top left it. So yeah, next dig will knock out, and that is a good game. Magnezone into Empoleon. Tremendous lead. This usually comes with like either fairy types or dragons in the back. So an Empoleon lead is just tremendous for Magnezone. The opponent goes into the Gligar, and this is what Magnezone users do. If there's no fast attack pressure, you just throw a Wild Charge and dip. The opponent does not shield that. This is interesting though, because you could also have used this Jellicent for that Empoleon, and now you're aligning to this Gligar, so you might need switch advantage. But also, if you can get like a shield advantage, Gligar is fine into Empoleon, because then you can just shield the Hydro Cannon, land a dig, and a dig will like most of the time knock out an Empoleon in one attack. Going for the Surf here, not going for switch, just throwing away Jellicent, which is an interesting play. This could still get annoying. If there's like a fighter in the back, you kind of want energy advantage on your Magnezone here. But also, if you farm down with the Gligar, Empoleon can even come in. So, a little bit of a tricky situation. Going for the farm down with Magnezone, that's what Paula likes to do. Just farm things with Magnezone. And in the back is a Giratina. Oh man, Giratina, I like Giratina so much, but it's gonna get... it's not gonna enjoy this. It does resist everything, all these electric type attacks from this Magnezone, but look at how much Wild Charge still does, man. It does so much damage. This will almost knock out the Giratina, not entirely yet, but we'll get very close. Opponent waits a little bit. I think this is a Shadow Ball. They probably saw the Magnezone swap out. It is Shadow Ball, does a lot of damage. In comes Empoleon. I think you could actually lose this. Oh, she doesn't go for the attack though. Interesting. But now she... Okay. This will get very close. Giving the Giratina as little farm as possible is very smart. Because if the Giratina gets farmed, Magnezone will lose to the Giratina. You need to get to another Mirror Shot, I think, with the... That should be enough from this range, and she is only 1 Volt Switch off. Magnezone will defeat this Giratina. Hopefully we don't see that happening at Worlds if I get to play Paula. In the next battle, we have again a Shadow Dragonite lead. Let's see if both players played out the same way this time. Again, Dragon Breath adds up about as much as the neutral Volt Switches, which is crazy. Going for the Mirror Shield right away. And the opponent this time, no shield stat. Interesting. Now the opponent will win the even shields. Let's see if Paula no shields is... Yeah, I think even a Dranclaw would have almost knocked out, to be honest. Going into Jellicent for the farm down. I kind of like this play, because it's usually like a Registeel and or an Empoleon in the back. And while I say that, a Quagsire pops out. So, not exactly what I expected. Quagsire is one of the more neutral picks, though. And I think actually one of the better picks, now that, you know, with so much Gligar around. Quagsire is the one Pokemon Gligar finds pretty annoying when Quagsire has, like, energy advantage. Correctly shielding the Stone Edge. I think Paula kind of knows that there might be an Empoleon in the back. So shielding that up makes sense. Going for another Surf. If the opponent has Empoleon in the back, they have got to shield this. And they don't actually. There is Empoleon though. Interesting. Because Empoleon has a terrible matchup here. But maybe with the Steel Wings adding up right now, you might be able to get this in Draw Pack range. And let's see. They do shield that up correctly. Going into Gligar right now. But Gligar will not be able to get 2 attacks here. I think what Paula really wants is this Empoleon to use energy. And then she can hopefully get to another Shadow Ball on that Jellicent. But the opponent is farming up perfectly here. Because Paula will actually get outpaced here. She knows that. So she's going to let that go. Trying to get to a Shadow Ball. But Empoleon just a little bit strong. Extremely well played by the opponent. Farming perfectly there, because even if they threw energy into the Jellicent, they also made sure they will farm just enough to take out the Gligar as well. So I think one of the key things to take from Greatly Remix, there's always Gligar in the back. In the next battle, we have a terrible lead for Paula. Deoxys defense has a very good matchup into Magnezone, and this is what most Deoxys players do. Like Magnezone usually wild charges and dips, Deoxys likes to Psycho Boost and dip. So let's see, opponent now goes into their own Gligar. It's a regular Gligar, it's not a Shadow Gligar, which has a lower attack, looks like. Makes sense. Paula might be running a little bit of an attack weighted. The Aries now won't knock out though. Like from Shadow, this would have knocked out from the opposing Gligar, but this one doesn't. Going for one more wing attack. And then going for Area Ace. This should put the Gligar almost in. It does put it into the red actually. And it's a juicy farm down though. We've seen Paula farm down things and then wild charge all this time, and she's gonna do the same thing here. Preserving the HP on Jellicent is also important, because that is going to be your main Deoxys counter, and Deoxys might also have Thunderbolt. Could also have Rock Slide though for the opposing Gligar. Let's see. Deoxys probably comes in. Not only is it good into Magnezone, it can also take hits very well. Going for the double wild charge. I think the opponent missed the counter there as well. Anyway, how much does this do? We won't find out yet. How much does this do? Let's see if we find out now. I don't think it knocks out, but it gets really close probably. Yeah, oh my goodness, look at that chunk of damage. In the back is Mandibuzz. At this point, this looks very tough. I think you now have to, like, again, get energy on Magnezone. Problem is, you won't be able to get this Mandibuzz low enough for a farm down on the Magnezone. I think that the Deoxys might be in 1 Volt Switch range, but also Deoxys might be close to an attack, so it's kind of tough. You can't really use your shields. Trying to throw on Charge Stack Purity here, but the opponent doesn't fall for that. Surf, she has 2 of those, but what do you do? No Charge Stack Purity again. Yeah, this Mandibuzz likely gets to an attack on the Deoxys. And then I believe Deoxys still has a shield, right? Area Ace. Yeah, there's still a shield. Volt Switch comes through. Maybe you have to call an Area Ace, but still, it is a Dark Pulse though. That's a good game. Yeah, kind of impossible to overcome there, really. The next game, we have a Shadow Vic. Put your money on the Carbink in the back. Let's see. This is not that bad of a matchup for Shadow Vic, though, because the Razor Leaf add up so much, and both Pokemon are so attack-weighted. This will do quite some damage, so the Victreebel does respect that. Can you get to a Wild Charge? The opponent throws an attack first. I think Wild Charge will knock out, so Magnezone should win the 0 shields here. And going for the Wild Charge now. This will pull both shields. You can't swap out a Spala as well, really, because of that Jellicent in the back. And she's just gonna let it go. Makes sense. Now you come with the Gligar, get a nice farm down. But I think you might have to shield. In comes Mandibuzz. Paula's saying, okay, thanks. I guess I don't want my Jellicent on this either. It's gotta be Carbink in the back, right? So this is gonna be a very tricky match at this point. Area Ace doesn't do that much damage on this Mandibuzz. You also cannot align your Jellicent on this Mandibuzz either. And Jellicent might have to knock out that Victreebel in endgame. So this is going to be a very uphill battle for Paula. Another Area Ace will put this Mandibuzz into the yellow, but the next one won't even knock out. And being able to throw before the attack from the Mandibuzz is actually pretty big. Look at how low it is now. What? Wait, is she catching it? That's gross. If this is Area Ace, that's disgusting. It is. Oh my goodness, man. That's disgusting. Alright, you almost have a Surf for that Victreebel, which took a few wing attacks, so it might be in Surf range, actually. This is very far from over. Yeah, going for the Surf. Now, this should knock out, even though resisted on the Shadow Victreebel. It's very fragile, and in the back has to be Carbink. It is Carbink, of course. If this Shadow Vic, there has to be the Carbink, right? This is why you need to run Celesteela. I was kidding. Celesteela is bad. As Area Ace might not even win against Carbink, right? I was just mentioning it as a budget Skarmory. There's no Skarmory in this league to core break those two. It's a very good core. And this Pokemon won't even be able to Rock Throw down. Has to throw an attack. Now Gligar needs to get to a Dig. I believe it has 1 or 2 wing attack. It has 1. Yeah, it should be able to get to that Dig, right? It doesn't actually. Oh man, very well played by this Carbink user. Yeah, that's a very close battle though. Almost hard counted to the end. Johnson very little play, and she almost had it. In the last battle, we see Shadow Magnezone into Shadow Gligar. We've seen Paula play this before, where she went to double Wild Charge and then threw both of them. This time looks like she's going to go straight Wild Charge here. It doesn't really make a lot of difference if you're going to use shields anyway, simply because, I mean, the wing attacks don't add up, right? They're double resisted, so going to shield this up, preserving that Magnezone. She's now the Mirror Shot and could win the Zero Shield here. Doesn't throw just yet, and the opponent catches. Wow, this is kind of an obvious Mirror Shot, but man, if Paolo went Wild Charge at some point, that's a pretty nasty catch. Going to Jellicent to hard answer this, and this is tricky for the opponent, right? Because the opponent won't even be able to, how do I say this, to go back into Gligar, because it can't take a serve as well. Jellicent is just massively disrespected often, as we see in these battles. Scald coming through, does get a debuff. Unfortunate in the back is a Ferrothorn, and this is tricky. Ferrothorn getting a lot of energy. I think this was this charge attack priority. It did seem like it. It is. There's a Power Whip. Will knock out the Jellicent. The opponent might uncharge to get some more energy. They don't. And where do you align everything now? Going into the Gligar, but this is somewhat of one for a more neutral matchup. Of course, with that Shadow Ball damage already, this Ferrothorn is now with the wing attacks into Area Ace range. So maybe that's just manageable. This is like the one grass type that's just fine into Gligar. That's interesting. She didn't even throw a wing attack before. You want to throw one wing attack and then your attack, because you have a 2-turn into a 3-turn fast attack, and getting charge attack purity is also a risky play because the opponent could get another bullet seed in there. Let's see, go for Power Whip again. It's a Magnezone world that we're just living in, so she's just gonna bring that in. And the opponent's, ooh, interesting. Probably trying to get the last shield. It's an Area Ace only though. Now going for the Mirror Shot. I believe she has a Wild Charge stored as well, and the Wild Charge should definitely knock out the Ferrothorn, even though it is resisted. Like, Ferrothorn has an okay matchup here simply because it's just bulkier, even though both Pokemon deal resisted damage. And that's a good game. Even despite people probably knowing what kind of Pokemon she runs, Paula still reached over 3100 elo with this team. So Magnezone still really good. If you have one, it might be worth trying it out. So hope you liked the video and see you in the next one. Bye.